Hey guys, welcome to a new video. I want to start doing these best videos a bit sooner into the patch, but one thing you can actually help me out with, can you leave a comment? Let me know how much do you watch the channel to see like what is overpowered or like for these best champions videos or what your favorite type of videos are. Obviously, if you mainly watch for this kind of stuff, then I'll do more of it, right? But I'm thinking for the end of the season, maybe next week we'll do like the top 20 champions ranked in every role based on how good they are climbing. Anyway, list of champions and stuff in the description, but the first for this video is going to be the top lane, and it seems like junglers are ganking there a bit more actually, but top isn't as useless now as it has been before this season, that is for sure. Riven is still going to be S tier, so number one for us, but it does depend on how good you are with her. She's actually a really good mid to late game pick at the moment. It's not really what you expect when you see a Riven, right? You don't think she's going to just suck early game but win really hard late game, but that's kind of how it's going at the moment. A part of that is because she's able to one-shot burst, AD carries, supports, and mid laners, who are three probably of the most important damage roles at least right now. I'm even going to class support as damage because of sensor, but she can just flash in, she can stun, auto attack, press R, and they're going to die. Your build is really good for doing that, but also really good against bruisers or tanks. You have this good impact and you're able to snowball pretty hard, but part of that is because you're good versus bad players. With like tank junglers that can engage for us, defensive supports that keep you alive, like they all make Riven better, not just Riven herself. The meta picks around her are actually really good for her. So buzzing into our second spot with this new skin is going to be Singed. I know a lot of you might not think so, but Singed is really good for climbing at the moment and not too hard either. It's not really what we used to either. Like most Singed players before last season stuff would just feed. Now you're actually the best early game top laner you can play. Amazing at winning games before 30 minutes. The grounding, the speed you have, the engage, even the damage you have actually is really hard to deal with. You can win your lane, which is kind of strange for a Singed, but you can roam around, you can chase people down, shut down that sensor AD carry, and make them useless. He is seriously underrated as a champion right now for climbing, but other regions play him a bit more. It's actually insane how good he is at the moment, like able to fully control an entire game. So kind of the next one along, I guess the one you probably expected is going to be Cho'Gath, the easy top laner to play, who is insanely strong. He's got some kill potential in lane, but becomes way too beefy to kill while still one-shotting with Stoneplate. He's got a silence, a knock-up, a slow, good damage as well. He's not just a meat shield. He's also very easy to play, which is why he's a great pick to climb if you can get a hold of him and he's not banned. The honorable mention is going to be Ornn though. The buffs seem insane on him. Good players, I think, are winning close to like 60% of games now actually, and the one thing he didn't have before was really good damage, right? His crowd control was ridiculous. He was very tanky, but now he has damage as well. So not only does he not die, he's going to kill you. Moving into the jungle, we still have the tank meta, but we are already seeing a shift into more damage actually as well. So if you play jungle, you'll probably be kind of happy. S tier number one, Xin Zhao. Bet you didn't expect that, but Xin this patch has popped off completely. Always takes a few patches after a major rework, but his early damage is insane with the warrior and trinity build. Now a lot of Xins at the moment go Blood Razor into Blade the Ruined King. Now if you swap that for AD and burst damage, that is when you start to stomp people. I think when more people swap to that, he's going to get better early game and then it'll get even worse. But for now, especially lower down, it is an insane carry jungler to actually play. He has a clear speed, so you're going to have good farm and good gold, right? The new kit, which takes people by surprise, which is actually a good thing. Your damage and burst is ridiculous. Objective control is there as well. You can gank, you can farm. You are kind of a complete package, really. Sejuani is still the tank that snowballs and becomes indestructible while still killing you. That is why we all love her, right? She doesn't die, but she sets up so many plays. Her ganks are really good, especially top lane, which is partly why top laners are getting more ganks right now. Anyway, it sounds kind of strange, but this is why. With her W, the stun, obviously top laners who are melee, which is most of the meta ones right now, they can actually stack that up, and that is why Sejuani goes top more, because it's pretty free. Obviously, your damage is no joke either, especially with the passive and the stun damage. You can fight others you find, and that is why she crushes carry picks. Crowd control really does win games. It's the easiest way to win games anyway. It can turn fights around, it can cement your lead if you're ahead. Best, actually, you kind of pick, I guess, as a jungle for your team who can also carry. So rolling on to the next part, Rammus is like Sejuani, but a better mid game. The engages are going to be what wins you most games when you play him. He's insanely tanky, but he has a lot more damage than you think, which means he's really hard to kill for an AD carry or an AD champion, I guess, and that is kind of a sense of counter indirectly. Instead of an honorable mention, we have Evelynn. So it's too early to really tell how good she is, but it seems like she's pretty bad overall, win rate wise at least. She's like dead last. That's mainly because she is an assassin and people haven't really figured out how to survive after getting some kills. So far this patch, she racks up almost the highest kills per game, but also the highest deaths per game, and that is really good damage and burst though. She has potential, I think, but she dies too much. So for the mid lane, push and roam as always. That's how you win the mid lane in this meta. You've got loads of good meta picks at the moment, but the problem with them being meta and everything like that, popular and stuff, is everybody knows how to play against them really easy now. So S tier number one, PUBG isn't the only game that has chicken to do with winning a game. Azir is going to be, for that pun was really bad. I'm actually kind kind of ashamed of myself. But anyway, even for newer players after the rework, Azir is a beast. At the moment, he wins a lot of games early, but that will change when people get used to his team fighting a little bit more. So that's kind of the thing. Easy to lane with and dominate someone, but hard to team fight. And in my opinion, he will be broken when people get better with him in the mid game. Lane is where most of the climbing comes from at the moment. Insane range on the poke. You can shuffle away if you get ganked. You have your ultimate as well. Just really hard to play versus if you aren't sure how. I kind of want to call him a noob stomper, to be honest. If you're against someone bad, he will crush them, and that is exactly what we want from solo queue. Number 2, we have Talon, who is the best assassin in the game right now, period. His damage is crazy, even from early into the game. The difference between him and Zed, which is what I always get when I put Talon above him, he's easier and easier to team fight with, slash kind of harder to avoid his damage. Talon will jump in, burst somebody, and then stealth to survive afterwards. So that is hard for an AD to survive his Duskblade burst anyway. Like, Zed can be flashed and outplayed a little bit easier in my opinion. Not only can he get some kills early easy, but then he roams and kills other lanes. Hard to play versus him anyway on the enemy team, that is for sure, because he's just going to run around and appear out of nowhere. Overall, number 2, because he's a roaming monster who normally gets ahead, it's not that uncommon at all, gets a ton of kills after that, even more damage, and becomes really difficult to deal with. Next up, we have Twisted Fate. Pretty god tier, so maybe Grossy will get master before the end of the season. After all, he's been awesome for ages, able to punish bad plays with his ultimate and then have a really good mid game. Being able to one-shot somebody with your combo is pretty ridiculous, but I feel like his laning is the only thing keeping him from being OP, but he's still close when it comes to climbing. Honorable mention, Veigar is the scaling mid laner in a more passive meta, which is kind of perfect. I've seen a lot of Veigar players feed and then just take over a game completely with their damage. Their cage is honestly partly why it can set up a lot of stuff, especially in team fights with like your Q and your W, which will one-shot somebody squishy if they get caught by it. I really think he's an insane champion right now. I think he's really good for climbing, especially lower down. Now, AD carry, this patch, I'm not having that much fun anymore. Like, I don't like the sensor meta really. I know it sounds weird, but every other role has adjusted to take a dump on you. S tier number 1, Tristana, up to a really high play rate this patch, and mainly because she's so easy and so safe. I am not that good at Trist actually, but I can win on her pretty easily just by farming and then pressing Q in team fights. That is kind of all it takes. I actually play PvE when I play Tristana. This is the biggest thing, tower taking. Like, gold generation is nuts. Your E can let you farm really well, but E on towers means she doesn't even need much time to take them. I think with a lot of AD carries, it's hard to use a lead or unlock tower gold, but and take them and stuff, but not with Triss. Like, snowballs the game that way really easily. It's hard to not put her number 1 when she's stupidly safe with the range, jump, and knockback. You cannot go wrong picking Tristana at the moment. Number 2 is Vayne. Much better after her changes to the ultimate, even though her Q got nerfed. Can you imagine, by the way, if they left her Q able to crit, but then gave her ultimate the reset as well, like this buff? That would have been so much fun and so broken. So we're still building crit so we can scale with other AD carries and have a really good mid to late game, but we are able to fight a bit more just because we're Vayne. You are less team reliant than most AD carries, which is cool because you have your stealth and your damage and your outplay potential, but the only problem is you're going to have, like, against a Twitch or a Tristana late game, like, their range will make it harder to get stuck into fights and auto attack. Still though, she is one of the best late game ADs because your damage is insane, and when you have sensor, it also boosts your W damage as well. Next up, Twitch could probably be S tier, but sometimes not for climbing just because you can't do that much early game. If a game goes late or even 2+ items, 3 items, you stand a really good chance to win, though that is kind of why he's been crazy all season. The thing is, a lot of AD carry players are just passive, they farm up, they don't trade very much, and they never ever move from their lane. So don't really pick Twitch if that is you. You can do, but it won't be the best. Twitch is really good because he can roam and get loads of free kills with his stealth, which gets him closer to late game items and snowballs the game out of control. That is the difference. Honorable mention, Varus with Rageblade is pretty underrated right now when you have a sensor. Sensor and Rageblade is a crazy strong combo at the moment. Varus has a really good early to mid game, and your ultimate can set up a lot of plays. I don't know if this is for solo queue, but it's ideal for climbing and flex queue with pre-made teammates. So finally then for support, bit of a shake up, but sadly still snooze meta with sensor. S tier number 1, Soraka. Actually stronger than Janna right now after those recent nerfs, I think. She does a lot to keep her team alive, carries really hard in team fights and in the lane phase, like the queen of carrying bad teammates. Your silence is OP as balls though. Most underrated skill in the game, I think. Literally game changing. If someone dives on your AD carry, like the Zed dives in with his ultimate, you silence under your AD. He can't press Q or E for any damage. It's ridiculous. He can't even go back to his shadow. Your heals are insane to play against anyway. Like, it's really hard, but Sensor is over the top, and her silence is what I think actually makes her broken right now. Janna still second, maybe even got relegated to 3rd behind Sona, maybe Taric as well, but obviously she has a shield, right? But it's the 2 knockups and knockbacks that actually what keep people alive a lot longer than they should really. You have an AoE heal from your ultimate, which applies sensor to everybody on a team, plus the heal is ridiculous anyway, but then redemption unlock it on top of that afterwards, I'm pretty sure in teamfights it is possible to have 100% uptime on Sensor, which is not cool. You're amazing and not just shielding damage, but preventing it in the first place by gaining some distance. This is why she's been so good for so long. Next up, Sona has come up after the Janna nerfs and is a bit more of an aggressive Sensor support. She's actually the best teamfight support though. Her ultimate aura spam is ridiculous once you get the CDR from the ultimate levels. You can spam over and over. It's one of those things where you don't even realize what you're doing. Like your team doesn't realize how much you're doing. Not obvious at all, but really like you buff a lot of damage and keep your team alive. A bit more aggressive early with your poke and stuff. Good damage actually. You can set up a lot of kills, especially if you take Ignite, and your ultimate can set up a few kills after that rather than just being passive. Taric might be S tier as the honorable mention, but he's harder to play. Purely it depends on your ultimate usage in a fight, which can win or lose games, and that's a bit harder. It is hard to not put him here though when he can buy Ninja Tabby and a level 5 or something 1v1 the enemy AD carry though. Okay, so that wraps up the roles right now in 720. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, but good luck climbing right now for the end of the season, and for now I'll leave you with the robots.